I've helped hundreds of people move to Spain, and after over 20 years of doing this, I can normally tell after about 10 minutes of meeting someone whether they'll still be here in 5 years' time. Now, it's got nothing to do with their budget, nothing to do with where they buy. It comes down to one thing, and at the end of this video, you'll know whether you've got it. Here's the thing they don't put in the brochure: the weather, outdoor living, health and well-being, the language, work-life balance, affordability, banking, taxes, driving, property ownership, festivals, summer heat, loneliness. So that's what this is. Are you looking for a new version of your old life, or everyone talks about why they want to move here? The weather, the lifestyle, the food. Almost nobody talks about what happens after they arrive and why two people living on exactly the same street can have completely different experiences. So that's what this is. Not a brochure, it's not a sales pitch, it's just an honest look at the dream, the reality, and the one thing that decides which side you end up on. Let's start with the dream. Most people will tell you it's the weather. And yes, the climate is a huge attraction. But after years of living and working here, I don't think that's the real reason. You see, I think what people are searching for is something they've lost. Time. Time to slow down, time to enjoy life, time to spend with the people who matter. One of the first things that people notice when they arrive here is that life moves at a different pace. People spend more time outdoors, families spend more time together. I mean, lunch isn't a rushed sandwich at your desk in the office. Dinner isn't eaten at 5 o'clock in front of the television. Now, that's not to say people don't work hard here. Of course they do. But they have a different relationship with time. There's less rushing from one thing to the other. There's less of a feeling that every single minute has to be productive. And for a lot of people, that's incredibly appealing. The second thing people fall in love with is outdoor living. In a lot of countries, living outside is something you only get a couple of weeks a year. But here, well, it just becomes part of everyday life. Breakfast by the beach, lunch outside, an evening walk, meeting friends in a plaza, dinner on the terrace. And it's amazing how much that changes your daily routine. And that leads us on to health and well-being. Now, not because Spain has some magic secrets, but because the lifestyle nudges you into healthier habits. So you walk more, you're outside more, you're more active. And a lot of people tell us they simply feel better after the move. And then there's work-life balance. And this comes up all the time. People are tired of rushing, tired of commuting, tired of working towards the next weekend, the next holiday, the next milestone. Spain allows you to enjoy a bit more of life along the way. And finally, affordability. For many people, this is where their budget can stretch further. Now, whether that's true or not depends on where you live and how you live. But for many people, they feel they get a better quality of life here for the same budget as back home. And when you put all that together, more time, more outdoor living, a healthier rhythm, a better work-life balance, more value for money, it's easy to see why so many people dream about it. Because they're not really chasing sunshine, they're chasing a different way of living. So that's the dream. But here's the thing they don't put in the brochure. Spain doesn't change who you are. It gives you a different place to be yourself. You'll still have challenges, you'll still have responsibilities, you will still have frustrating days. The difference is what those things feel like. The first thing for many people isn't the heat. It's sitting in the town hall wondering why something that took 10 minutes back home suddenly needs 3 appointments and 5 different forms. Now, nothing's usually impossible. It just takes longer and more steps than people expect. And then there's banking. People arrive assuming it's exactly the same as back home. Now, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But small differences in processes, requirements, and of course, those dreaded Spanish banking fees often catch people out. It's all part of settling into a new country. Taxes surprise people too, not because they're higher, but because they're different. So different systems, different rules, different expectations, and understanding that early will make life a lot easier later on. Healthcare is similar. Now, the healthcare system is generally very good. It just doesn't always work the way you're used to. So there's different routes, different processes, different experiences, depending on where you are. And then there's the lifestyle differences that sound brilliant on holiday, but feel different when you live them every single day, like summer heat. 30 degrees is perfect when you're visiting, but 40 degrees in August? That's a totally different conversation. There's noise. I mean, Spain is very social, so life happens outside. So families gather, restaurants stay busy later, children play in the streets, there's festivals everywhere. And for a lot of people, that's exactly what they move over here for. But for others, it takes a little while to adjust to the rhythm. Driving feels completely different too. Road habits, parking culture, local nuances like stopping on a roundabout with your hazard warning lights on, which they call un momentito. It's not better or worse, but it's definitely different enough to notice. And property ownership has its own surprises. So community fees, urbanisation costs, shared pools, gardens, security, maintenance, all part of the reality of a lot of developments here and not always part of people's expectations when they first start looking. And then there's the language. Now, you can live in many parts of Spain speaking very little Spanish. Plenty of people do. But if you truly want to feel part of the community, then even a basic level will make an enormous difference. And there's one more, the one thing people don't talk about: loneliness. Moving country is exciting, but it's also a full reset of your whole social world. And in areas that are expat heavy, there's another layer to it because things can feel temporary. So you meet people, you form friendships, you settle into routines, and then people move to another area, back home, or into another stage of life. I remember one client who moved here after retiring. Now, his first few years were a lot harder than expected. Different routines, different ways of doing things. In fact, he told me at one point he wondered if he'd actually made a mistake. But fast forward a few years, well, he's actually one of the happiest people I know here. Why? Because he stopped comparing things to home and started embracing where he was. And that's the thread running through all of this. Spain isn't a permanent holiday, it's real life, with responsibilities, with challenges, and with difficult days. It's just set in a place that people think is more enjoyable, more rewarding, and a better place to live. Which brings us back to where we started, because the truth is, Spain isn't for everyone, and that's okay. No country is. The people who thrive here aren't the ones who find everything easy, they're the ones who adapt. They don't arrive expecting everything to be like it was at home, they arrive expecting it to be different, and they're open to that. There's a certain mindset that does really well here. So people who value lifestyle over routine, people who like living outdoors, people who don't mind things slowing down a little and can sit with uncertainty as long as the whole quality of life feels better. We see it with retirees, people who can choose how to spend their time. We see it with remote workers who can take their life with them. And we see it with young families looking for a different rhythm for their children. But it's not really about circumstance, it's about attitude. A few years ago, we had two couples buy homes just minutes from each other. Similar budgets, similar ages, similar reasons for moving. A year later, one couple couldn't imagine living anywhere else, and the other couple, well, they'd gone home. Now, it wasn't because of the area, it wasn't the weather, it was expectations. One couple embraced where they were, while the other couple spent the whole year wishing things worked just like they did back home. Remember what I said at the beginning, the one thing I can tell in about 10 minutes? Well, it's not your budget, it's not your dream location, it's the answer to one question. Are you looking for a new version of your old life, or are you open to building a slightly different one? So if you watched all that and thought, yeah, I think I'm that open to something different type, here's the genuinely useful next step. I've put together a property buyer's guide and a property alert list for the Costa del Sol, the area we know better than anywhere. No spam, no pressure, just honest advice and a heads up when the right kind of home comes up. The link's in the description. And if you've got any questions about the move, the legals, the area, anything at all, drop it in the comments. I read them all and I'll make a video about the very best ones. And of course, if you like this kind of content, please don't forget to subscribe. There's lots more content on the way. So I'm Keith from Target Properties Spain. It's been a pleasure, and whatever you decide, I genuinely hope you find a life that's truly yours.